Hello Kidz Klubbers. I thought that we'd make a video to show you how to do today's craft activity, seeing as I'm not very good when we do it live. So you're going to need a bowl to do some mixing up. You need to have half a cup of plain flour. This is 75 grams. A quarter of a cup of salt, some warm water. I've got this bottle to use as a rolling pin because I don't have a rolling pin. A wooden spoon for mixing, a normal knife, not too sharp, a fork, and I've got a lollipop stick here, which I'm going to use, but you could have a pencil or a pen for that. Then you're going to need a little bit of greaseproof paper, or possibly just a plate that can go in the microwave for this. I've got a chopping board as well, so that I can put all my stuff on it. Okay, I'm going to move that out of the way and bring the bowl in to shot. So you're going to take your 75 grams or half a cup of flour and pop it in the bowl. Then you're going to add to that the salt, which is a quarter cup of salt, but also weighs out at 75 grams. And then with your wooden spoon, you're going to mix the two together. So mix them up so that you can't tell where the salt is and where it all looks like flour. So that's quite a good mix up there. There we go. And then you need to add, it's best if this is warm water, so just run the tap to make it a little bit warm. And then we're going to add in a quarter cup of water. So whatever you used to measure out your salt in, you're going to use the same again. So we're going to add in the water, but a little at a time. So I've added about half of it. And then I'm going to mix it all up like this. We're going to make it into a dough, so as though you were making bread. So it starts to come together. I'm going to add the rest in. There we go. Mix it all up. Now if it's too wet, just add a little bit more flour, and if it's too dry, add a tiny bit more water, but be very careful because it gets wet very quickly once you start to work it. So give it a good mix, try and bring it all together, try and get all the flour mixed in. So now I look like I've got kind of dough rocks. I'm going to scrape that off my spoon. There we go, and I'm going to use my hands. So it's nice to get in with your hands. So I should probably mention that the first thing you should do when you're going, before you do all this, is wash your hands. I'm going to just dip my hand in the water so that I've got a little bit more moisture. So rather than pour water in, I dipped my fingers in the water to help add mixture. Oh, you've got to have muscles to do this, I think. Taking a bit more. So just making it a little bit wet at a time. A little bit more, I think. And that should be us. You do need to work the dough a little bit, because the more you work it, the more elasticated it becomes and pliable. Okay, so you should be able to clean up your bowl, dragging in all the leftover bits of salt and flour. That's when you know that you've got the right consistency. So I've got quite a clean bowl now. You do need to wash it, don't just pop it back in the cupboard. Okay, I seem to have spilled some water. Just going to mop this up. I think when I was tipping water, I tipped some onto the worktop. Okay, so give it a good mix up. Sorry if the camera is shaking, but it's attached to the worktop, so there we go. Good mix with the dough. Now if you want more than this. You just need to double the recipe, but be careful when adding the water. Okay, so we've got a nice little bit of dough now. I'm going to use my bottle as a rolling pin to roll it out, turn it over, give it a good roll, turn it over. I don't think I'm rolling very well. You want to try and make sure that it's even, that we don't have it really thick in any bit and thin in another. Now fortunately my measuring cups have got some cutters on the bottom, so I'm going to cut a star and then another one. So I've got 2 stars, there we go. And with my lollipop stick I'm just cutting a hole, punching a hole in the middle, and then with my knife pick it up and I put it to one side just now. There we go. So the hole goes, make sure that you've pierced it right through, and I'll show you later what I'm going to do. Oh, I've made a mess of that. I'm going to do with these. So right through, so you can see right through. Then take your dough again, give it another press out. Good old mix up. I'm going to use my bottle again, see if I can get it started. I don't want it to be too thick. Now I'm going to cut out, across using my knife. This is just a normal knife that I would use for eating dinner, so it's not super sharp. Maybe you've got a clay model knife or something, and we're just eyeballing how to cut it. Oops. Then I'm going to cut right down there. There we go. Right across there. Oop. Just neaten it up. I've got a bit in the corner there. So here we've got our cross, because Easter is when we celebrate Jesus' death and resurrection, so his death on the cross. I'm going to stick a hole right the way through there again, and then I'm going to pop to one side. I've got some left, so I'm going to try and make something else. Where's my rolling pin? We don't want it to be too fat, but you don't want it to be super thin either, so it needs to be maybe about 1/2 centimetre thick. Now on this cup, which had the flour in it, it's got a circle on the bottom, so I'm going to cut a couple of circles. Oh, we'll do 3 circles. And then we could leave them as circles, or we could try with our hands to thin them out a little bit, and at one end, one part of it, and just pulling it so that it becomes a bit pointed. So we've got a shape like that where it's a bit pointed, and then I'm going to push in a dent across the top where my finger. Oh, there we go. And I've tried to make a bit of a heart shape. So again, I'm going to take my stick and poke it all the way through so I've got a hole in it. Then I'm going to do the same with this, so I'm going to flatten it out a little bit, make it a bit thinner all the way around, then make it pointed at one point, at one section, and then push in at the top to make a heart. There we go. You just have to play with it to make it. And you could make these into whatever shapes you like. And another hole all the way through. There we go. And then my last one. Make it nice and thin. There we go. And then kind of pointed and push in. And the more you practice and play with it, the better you become. That's a much better heart than the first one, I think. And then we're going to stick the hole in it. There we go. Okay. And then I still have some dough left, so I'm going to pull it back together again. I don't like wasting things, so we've got a little bit left. Let's see if we can roll it out into a big enough shape. Now you could cut something out freehand, you could make another cross, I could probably make some more circles, but I happened to cut this cardboard Easter egg out with a bit of a pattern on it. So you could cut something out of paper or card, and then with the knife I'm just going to cut round the outside. Be very careful. Watch your fingers. Don't want anybody having to go to hospital because they've cut their fingers off. There we go. So I've made an Easter egg as well. I'm going to make something else out of those little scraps. There we go. I'm going to stick my hole in the middle. Now some of this pattern has gone through onto my egg, but might not remain after cooking. So what we're going to do now is we're going to transfer these onto a piece of paper, You're going to put them face down on it first of all. That's not got a very good hole. There we go. And then with your fork, take the fork and just prick the back, make lots of little holes. Don't go right the way through, you're just pricking the surface on the back of your shapes. And this will help it to cook all the way through. And then you have lots of choices now. So you can either leave your shapes out in the sunlight and they can dry in the open air, and it will take a whole day for that to happen. So they can dry, and you can do that for a day. You can stick them in the oven at 120 degrees centigrade and cook them for 3.5 hours. Or you can put them in the microwave. So if you have a microwave, oh, I didn't do that one. You can put them in the microwave for 3 minutes, but you don't put them in just for 3 minutes and walk away. You need to put them in for 30 seconds, take them out, turn them over, another 30 seconds, take them out, turn them over, another 30 seconds, take them out, turn them over. And you do that for 3 whole minutes so that you are having to change them around on a regular basis. Okay, so I'm going to do that in a minute, but so to speed things up, I'm going to show you some that I made a little bit earlier. There we go. So when you take them out of the oven, they are very hot, so make sure that you have an oven mitt on and you get some help to remove them from the oven, because even though it's just the microwave, they're still very hot. And you can see now, so they're quite soft and pliable here, but now that they're cooked, they sound like clay. They're hard, and we can then decorate them. So you can use paint, watercolour paint, acrylic paint, or felt tip pens. I don't think that coloured pencils will work, but you can use some felt tip pens, some marker pens on them, and they'll be fine. So these have been in the microwave for 3 minutes, and then I left them to cool for about 20 minutes. So they're nice and cool and hard now and ready to go. So I will see you later. Take care. Bye.